Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. How men can influence women's behavior. And you know what? One of the things that I see many men trying to do is think in terms of controlling a woman's behavior, right? Controlling a woman's behavior. You know, they want to know, hey, how can we get these women to do what we want them to do? Right? Well, first, think about what I said in the title, influence. You can influence a woman's behavior, but you cannot control it. Let's be real. Without some type of coercion, right? Like a gun to the head, you can't control another human being, period. Now, you can try to use propaganda. You could try to use naked threats. You can use money, but ultimately you can't control another human being. And any men who think that need to get that word out of their lexicon, right? You can't control it. But what you can do is influence a woman's behavior. Even then, that's not perfect, but you can at least set the tone for how she's going to be, at least in your presence. Let me tell you a story. Let me tell a story. I haven't told it. Speaking of which, as a tangent, my show American Gods is coming back. I get to see my man, Mr. Nancy. Hopefully they'll give him more run this year. But anyway, right? I remember a few years ago, Rom had to take the bus to work, right? And so every time I would get to the bus stop, you had like these three rowdy women, right? And just for those who those brothers like to come on here and say, yeah, that's how those black women be acting. Just one of the women was black. It was some of those like trailer trash type of white women, right? Two. So you had the sister, you had these white women, right? Every time I got to the bus stop, they would act rowdy. They were just rowdy, loud, ratchet. They were just ratchet. And I was, you know what? I didn't really care. I didn't really care. They didn't bother me. But I would just show up and I'd just be quiet. And if I even glanced towards them, I would be like very, I wouldn't crack a smile or anything. And any glance, even a glance towards them was like incidental, right? But I started noticing something. I'd show up every day and, I'd be all quiet and just doing my thing. And I started noticing they would be looking at me. They were just looking. They would just look. And they would start being quiet. And I noticed after a while, if they would start talking to me and addressing me, but their whole demeanor was changed, right? Now, what did I do? Now, that's how I prefer a woman, to be cool if she going to talk. I mean, we don't have to agree or anything like that. She don't have to be some doormat, but at least she got to be respectful in my presence, right? So what did I do? I didn't do anything. I didn't look at them and say, hey, y'all need to calm down, or y'all need to do this. I didn't threaten them, it was my preference that their behavior be different in my presence, but I ain't say a word to them. All I did was stand there. What I did was basically silently with nonverbal language in how I was standing, how I was holding my head. I even when I glanced at them, I was just like, if you're going to talk to me, you're going to talk to me a certain way. So the key was, it wasn't anything I said to them, but it was how I carried myself. Now I'm going to tell y'all something. A lot of men complain, well, these women doing this and they doing that. A woman is only going to do in your presence what you allow her to do. Now, first of all, one of the things I didn't do with those women was feed into their behavior or show an emotional reaction to it. Because sometimes if you show a reaction like you disgusted by it, they'll keep doing it just to mess with you. I was just totally oblivious to them. And even on the bus, they be talking. I'd be just sitting in my seat. I'd just be chilling, sitting in my front seat. I never liked sitting in the back of a bus. Anyway, right? But I would just sit there. I'd just be chilling. So they and I didn't look that much older than them, because this was before grades started showing up on me. So they weren't respecting me on that level as being an older gentleman, right? As far as they knew, I was close to them in age, right? But they had to change their shit up, right? And remember, whenever y'all dealing with a woman, and if their behavior is negative, the worst thing you can do is come down to their level. What you got to say as a man, okay, this is how I'm going to carry myself as a man. So I'm going to lead, right? I'm not going to react to their agenda. They're going to react to mine. See, understand something. Many men want just an automatic deference of women. If that ever happened in history, it was fake. Women just did so because they were afraid of violence. I don't think, even like back in the golden 50s, with the Ozzie and Harriet shit or whatever, Leave It to Beaver or Father Knows Best shit, the women really weren't complying. But if as a man you give off the vibe, the energy that if a woman's going to be in your presence, this is how she's going to speak to you, this is going to be the tone, boom. And basically you do it by not reacting. Now, sometimes sometimes on some of these YouTube videos, and sometimes on some hangouts, random hangouts, right? I hear the men and women going back and forth, right? And sometimes the women, I can tell some of the times the women that get on some of these hangouts, and they trying to get a rise out the man. But if you just look at her like, whatever, boom. I had a woman like that. She would just do little shit just to get a rise out of me, right? And I just looked at her. And after a while, she just had to, because after a while, she was just like, you know what, let me just change my shit up. This shit ain't working with this dude. Yet another story. I remember I was dealing with this woman for a little bit. Now, she had one of those game-playing mamas, right? She had a game-playing mama. I remember I went to pick her up one time, and she came right out. Then, we were driving someplace, and she said, my mother told me, just to make you wait out there, right? And I said, nah, Rom ain't the one to do that. Rom ain't because she knew. Because I said, see, men, you gotta set the standard for how women gonna be in your presence. Because a woman, she gonna do what she wanna do. And she gotta get the message. Now, if she don't get that message the first time she in your presence, if you just don't react to her bullshit and just say, nah, this is how you gonna be. Right? This is how you gonna be. This is how you're going to do it. Now, a few times you might have to stop. You might have to say something right then. I'm going to tell another story. Then this involved it was a retreat that I was at. And it was at this dude's house. He had a nice sized home, so he had a bunch of people there. There was a woman there who was acting up. And she was yelling, she was mad. It was one of those intensive type of retreats. This dude who was the host of the house, he wasn't mad at her, but just for expressing herself, but he was just he actually stood up, looked at her, and said, you will not do this in my house. You can say what you want, but you're going to say it in a certain tone. You just looked her dead in the eye. And as men, you got to be that way. If that woman going to be in your space, she going to behave a certain way. She going to act a certain way. All right? And if she don't like it, that's how she had to be. Now, all she had to be now, of course, you ain't trying to ask her to go fix you a ham sandwich or something. That's kind of ridiculous right there. But if in your space, in your presence, or especially in your space, it's hard to do in your presence because you public and something. But if she in your space, you're going to say, look, this is how you're going to behave. Right? And when I say that, I mean in terms of if the person want to get disrespectful loud, you be like, nah, you got to go. Because part of the problem is a lot of men don't stand on their square. A lot of men don't stand on their square. A lot of these women do stuff because, look, as a collective, we let them do it. We let them do it. And I've told some women that they be trying to start. I've had very few arguments with women because if they start getting somewhere, I'll be like, no, Nat, you can speak to me in a normal tone. All right? But this is how you're going to deal with me. You're going to deal with me as an adult. And see, when I say that, you can't just have those words come out your mouth and you sounding all nervous. You got to have that conviction. Like, I'm not playing this. You got to be firm. You got to be hard. You want a woman's respect before you want her love. In fact, I'd rather a woman say I respect you more so than she say she love me. Love is fleeting and is just lust the way Western women look at it any damn way. But that's how you influence it. Now she might do whatever with everybody else. With you, nah, this is how she gonna behave. In fact, that's a big thing when I'm always talking about select, non-select. Women respecting the select, man. But that's the thing you don't even have to ask for. You just carry yourself like, sweetie, you this is how you gonna be around me. All right? That's how you gotta be. That's why even on like there's a lot of female trolls or some who will come on the site talking some smack, and I'm just like, nah, not in my house. I don't even argue with them about it. I leave the message. I give the message. No, you gonna be on here. You gonna speak, even if you disagree. That shit better be respectful. And I've actually had some women who would comment on this very channel, and I would heart the comment. I would heart the comment because it was because one, it was respectful. It didn't attack me personally, which I got zero tolerance for. But it was respectful, and that's all I ask. And it was never just some wild stuff talking trash. It was always like a reason. Okay, this is why I disagree, and I respect that. Anybody who can do that without making it, if it make it personal, I delete it automatically. If it's a respectful disagreement, I'll leave the comment up, maybe even heart the comment, but nah. But when you're dealing with women, fellas, stand on your square. All right? Always remember that. I don't care. You want her respect more so than you want her love. Anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.